Welcome back to the David Pakman Show.
Back on the David Pakman Show, a couple of new members to the David Pakman Show that I want to say hello to. Steve Stricker and Thomas Jamie, brand new members of the week. Welcome. And of course, you can sign up for the David Pakman Show membership program at davidpakman.com/membership. And also, Lewis, the David Pakman Show t-shirts made from 100% recycled cotton scraps and plastic bottles are flying off the shelves. We've had reorders from people. There are some people that have ordered 3 times already these shirts, which are available, of course, at davidpakman.com/gear. And the company which produces the shirts for us, Repair the World, donates a percentage of the proceeds to charity from every single purchase. No new materials are being used. So it's the time to get some of these shirts.
Definitely.
davidpakman.com/gear. I was in Kansas City for the first time over the weekend at the Grassroots Radio Conference, and I have to say it was a great trip. The conference was great, met a lot of good people. The big thing I was looking forward to was some good barbecue, okay? And we all went over to Arthur Bryant Barbecue, which is this famous barbecue place in Kansas City. Pictures of John McCain having pork ribs and Sarah Palin and lots of other politicians. I think Obama has been there too. I have to say I didn't find it to be that good. I didn't think the food was that good. For all of the hype about this barbecue place, when we were in Tucson a couple of months ago visiting a friend of ours, the barbecue place in a strip mall that we found was significantly better.
It was out of this world good.
It was very good. So I don't know. Maybe I got the wrong thing. I had the brisket, the beef at Arthur Bryant Barbecue. I don't know. Maybe that's not the right thing to have. I don't eat pork, so I wasn't going to order the pork ribs, you know?
I'd never heard of the place.
Yeah, well, you've never been in that part of the country either.
Well, I watch a lot of food TV.
Right. Okay. And then on the way home, this is kind of an awkward incident. I want to get your thought on it and the audience's thought as well. I was flying my first leg, which was from Kansas City to Chicago. I was seated next to what I would describe as a passenger of size. In other words, without going into detail, it was a very large individual who certainly took up their seat and part of mine. You follow where I'm going?
Right.
And my impression was that this happened to be on United Airlines, but a lot of airlines have a policy like this, that there are certain times where if you take up too much space, you are required to buy a second seat. In other words, there's not room for someone to sit next to you. Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, I'm relatively small, right? I'm 5'8". This was a seat that had a pretty good amount of space. Okay, so it should really not have been an issue. I had almost no room. I would say that I had half to 2/3 of my seat available. Now, bear in mind, I paid for an entire seat on this airplane. Not an entire seat was available to me. I looked up the United Airlines policy on passenger of size, and here's what it says. It says, for the well-being and comfort of all passengers aboard United flights, we have aligned with other major airlines seating policies related to passengers who either, number 1, are unable to fit into a single seat in the ticketed cabin, number 2, can't buckle their belt with a single seatbelt extender, and number 3, the key word here is or, are unable to put the seat's armrest down when seated. Okay? The armrest thing was not an issue in this particular seat because it was an exit row where the armrest does not lift up.
Right.
Okay? However, the person was unable to fit into a single seat in the ticketed cabin. The drinks cart struggled to get past the person was in the aisle seat, to get past them. And I was literally just leaning over. I had almost no room at all. Certainly I couldn't use the armrest because the person oozed over it onto my side. Mm-hmm. Case in point, when the drinks came around and they had to take out, this was a seat that has the drink tray in the armrest, they were not able to put it down because it was resting on their belly. Okay, so it was rendered unusable. In other words, the drink tray, where normally would be flat, it was kind of sitting on their belly at an angle like this, as I'm describing, unusable. To me, that's a passenger of size. What do you think, Lewis, from what I'm describing?
Yeah, definitely. Passenger of size.
Okay. Is it okay to require that person to buy 2 seats, or is it in some way discrimination against overweight people?
Mm-hmm. I mean, you're describing it to me, but I mean, how big was this person? I mean, is it really
hold on. Assume that I'm right, that they were really too big according to United's own requirements. Assuming that, is it okay to force someone who takes up too much space on a plane to buy a second seat?
I think so.
You think so? What do you think, Natan?
I think he should be forced to walk to his destination.
Yeah, come on, that's ridiculous. That's not even funny. But it's a legitimate question though, because some people say,
I mean, where do you draw the line too?
Okay, that's the question. You're discriminating against someone who's fat. What about someone who's too tall? Well, actually, people that are too tall also can fall under the passenger of size rules. The reality is this: the plane was full. There were 65 seats on it, for example. I bought one seat. I didn't have one seat available. If we're just looking at it like that, it seems
Pretty
to
cut
me
and dry.
that it was oversold. The flight was oversold. In other words, there were 65 seats, and there was a requirement for 65 and a half. In other words, there were 65 and a half people on it, if that makes sense. There was not room. I know that many find it politically incorrect to have these second seat requirements. What's the limit? What's the limit as the average inseam size and waist size, or rather waist size, continues to go up, not inseam? You have to have something, I think.
Are there any airlines that require that?
That require what?
A person of size to buy two seats.
All of these do. In other words, according to this United, they didn't enforce it on this flight. Yeah, go ahead, Natan.
Do you think the airlines will start putting in coach, like a section for people of size where it's larger seats, but proportionally it fits their whole body?
But they cost more?
It would cost like a normal ticket, but it would just be,
Some seats are bigger specifically for...
They have that. It's called first class. I mean, they're not going to put in bigger seats in coach and not charge more.
Well, when you think about it, it's not really that much more luxurious than coach for them because it just barely fits their body.
Okay, but the service is different. The food, access to the first class lounge,
and
et
that's
cetera.
one less seat that someone of normal size would have available.
My understanding, and I never fly Southwest, so I don't know, is that Southwest very aggressively at the gate will point out to people, to properly accommodate you and the other passengers, you're going to have to buy another seat.
But at the gate, chances are that flight's completely full anyway.
Then that's the question. Is it technically oversold where they have to deny people boarding and offer them compensation if there's someone that's too big? I think it is. I think it's an involuntarily denied boarding situation. Yeah.
The upside to that is that if the person of size gives up their seat, it's really two seats that they're giving up. So that's like, 1 for 2 for the airline.
Yeah, but they haven't sold both seats, so we can't really think of it that way.
That's true.